This week on Media Delta, Space Cobra, Part 2. Well, sometimes, you just gotta have a really fetishy episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Media Delta. Today we are finishing up our talk. I don't know if "look's" the right word, but talk about Space Cobra. If you want a more deep dive into what this is, you can listen to the first episode of us talking about Space Cobra, which was not last episode, but the one before this. Also, it'd make a lot more sense if you listen to that one anyway. I guess with that, I am joined again just by Torpo.
Hey.
So the episodes that we specifically watched, we watched basically episodes 8 through 14, which is the end of the Three Sisters arc and goes on into the Ultimate Weapon arc and two kind of one-off episodes. Turbo, I guess before we actually kind of get into it, how do you actually feel about these last 7 episodes that we watched?
They were pretty fun, except for the last one, which was weird.
Yeah, the last one is a bit of a thing. Very unlike the rest of the episodes in the series, at least from what I've watched.
They were very counter to what I knew, because I'm only familiar with the adventure game. So it was super weird for me not seeing these arcs just clumsily smashed together.
Yeah. Because if you're only used to seeing this through that Sega CD adventure game, then this is it's gonna be the pacing, well, not the pacing, but the kind of chain of events is kind of weird because I can't like the way that this handles Dominique as a character is different from how that game shows it. And I believe because that's the Sega CD game's more, because I have not seen the movie, because that how Dominique shows up in the movie.
Dominic shows up in the movie much like the anime. The movie is fairly close, just super truncated.
Okay.
Also kind of messy. I'm not a fan of the movie.
Yeah, because I believe the movie came first, and basically it was their attempt to kind of try and do the story in a movie sense, but then the TV show came out and kind of made it, gave them space to actually tell stories, which has been a downfall of things that we've watched in the past.
Mm.
We got to see the end of Crystal Bowie and also the other villain that was introduced, Sandra, the leader of the Snow Gorillas, which that was definitely a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I always it's weird because it's like Crystal Bowie is Crystal Bowie has this reputation of being like this villain that's goes throughout the series, but actually he's the first major villain to die. And dies
He
in a
shit pretty good.
dies in a very interesting way. Basically using just love the Cobra rocket punch. Like, it's great because they both rocket punch each other, and then
Don't forget
Crystal.
that before that he got weakened by being shot with a fucking gun.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, your lasers don't affect me. Oh wait, what if you just have gun?
What if you just have a fucking magnum?
Yep. Yeah, I want to, because they did say it was like some Ruger 500 something. It was like some
No,
ridiculous.
it was a fucking 45 revolver.
It was something like some really convoluted, like some inflated number thing.
No, it actually wasn't inflated. I think it was just a 45.
Hmm. Yeah, it's just this high caliber revolver. That I always love it. It's like, oh, what, it's some future thing. What's the thing that will save us all? Just gun.
To be fair, that gun had been hinted at early on. Like,
Yeah.
it's one of the first items he got, but he never really used it because he had the psycho gun.
Yep. Because it's the thing that was right next to his arm, or like his spare arm in the very first episode. Um, and yeah, that was an interesting thing because then after, of course, he gets hit in the chest with the his fist. Then he just gets crashed out of a like his little hover car thing and just smashes in the ground, like
Mhm.
falls like out of this building. Um,
Yeah, Crystal Bowie just kinda eats it, and it's weird because, like, the game builds him up as this big villain.
yeah, um, yeah, but yep, it's also the thing about this is that even like we see it in kind of this arc. It's a thing that I appreciate about this show as compared to a lot of other 80s anime. Is the actually the length of this series actually helps it a lot in how dense it is trying to do with various other things. The next arc after this would actually kind of counter my own point, but I like that the main like fights only are just an episode. Like the fight with Crystal Bowie is on episode. The fight with Sandra is on episode, and things happen in them. It's not like you don't have the fun thing of like Fist of the North Star or Dragon Ball have, where it's like multiple episode fights, which I kind of appreciate. Um,
Mhm. It was
yeah,
a Python 77 Magnum.
Python 77, right? Um, yeah, the anime really loves its Python, especially around that time, because I know oh the guy from City Hunter also uses a Python as his weapon. Um, but yeah, I particularly like this or set of episodes because the bit with Sandra is kind of like when they actually go and try and find the ultimate weapon, it's a little goofy, but it's goofy that I really appreciate. Um, Also, it was great when we were watching the reveal of the map on Dominique's back, how incredulous some of the people who were watching it with us were on that reveal. Just the fact that it's not just like because they've built it up that there's a map on if you put the three sisters tattoos together that there's a map on their back. They don't tell you that how detailed it is and how it just looks like a star map.
It's really good too because the way he puts them together is on his sweet piano fucking
The
uh
the piano computer is great.
piano
It's
computer. It's so
it's stupid, but I love
it,
it.
like he also just plays a bunch of fucking public domain music like Toccata and Fugue, like which is really weird for the entire scene.
Yeah, like it kind of swaps between a few, but yeah, it's just him playing random pieces of classical music to basically do Photoshop stuff.
It's also great because the big reveal is that actually he needed to color shift all of them to actually get the map.
Yeah, like he just finds that out just through some I forgot exactly like he was looking at something and then he figured it out.
Yeah, it's like, "Ah, you need to remove all the red from this one, and all the blue from this one, and all the green from this one, and man, wow, suddenly these butterflies turned into this weirdly detailed map."
Yeah, like it looks like this Star Trek map.
Oh, it's ridiculous, and I love it.
Yeah. Um, so I guess with that, so we saw the finish, or we saw the ends. We saw the end of the Three Sisters, and also the Snowgirls arc. So, how did you like those arcs?
Oh, they were pretty fun, even if, like, the final confrontation for the Three Sisters arc as a whole felt kind of lackluster, and also it felt like they kinda ran out of money for part of it.
Yeah, the last bit, because technically the what's usually referred to as the Ultimate Weapon arc, it's technically an extension of the Three Sisters arc, but it's more focused on the main villains, Sandra, which just kinda did not have the energy that Crystal Bowie had because her design's not nearly as interesting. But then again, when you're dealing with Crystal Bowie, it's kinda hard unless you're dealing with some weird, like, creature. It's hard to have a human antagonist that's actually kind of interesting.
Also doesn't help that, like, Crystal Bowie had a lot more build up to him than Sandra, who you just see in the Snow Gorillas arc,
Yeah. Uh,
and is just kind of a very standard villain.
Yeah, she's just this kind of sadistic pirate lady with a
Obsessed with power.
with like a black eye. Like it's like what would be an eye patch, except it's just her eye is black. Um, and yeah, it's not that so much that she's bad. It's just that she's kind of boring. But yeah, it's also great because the final thing is like, because as we were mentioning, Osamu Dezaki has a signature thing of him doing these like freeze frame pastel like screen shot or stills throughout his series, and the last episode has a lot of them.
Oh my god, it is so many, and like even the animation feels a little bit off for a good chunk of it too.
And it's especially weird because it's not like it was like the end of a thing. It was like it's just a
The
middle
middle of the
episode.
season. Yeah.
It's like, and it's not even. It's like towards the
To be
beginning
fair,
of.
that's the place to skimp, really.
Yeah, and it worked. Like they didn't really need to have a whole lot of motion shot in that particular shot because it was just basically her chasing after Cobra through this pyramid,
Yep.
and it's like it's not like I'm like, oh, I feel cheated out of anything. It's just like, oh, it's just really weirdly transparent way of kind of cost saving. Uh,
Yeah, it's also weird because once again, I was more familiar with the adventure game. So it's really weird because the Ultimate Weapon arc kind of ends in sort of a wet fart comparatively. Uh,
yeah,
because it ends with Sandra just kind of eating shit in the most mundane of ways. Because the Ultimate Weapon essentially, whenever it sees something, it mimics that weapon but stronger. Uh, it also made Sandra giant, which was weird.
yeah, she got big. And
Big and gold.
big and gold. Um, and yeah,
Also, shout
yeah,
out to the drill tank.
yeah. The drill. I forgot what they called it, but yeah, the tank that is basically a sand shark that goes in the sand by spinning. It's dumb but
It's
great.
hilarious.
There's a
It's
lot of
so
things
good.
in this series that are dumb but great. Um,
But
but yeah, um, yeah. I like the events of the Three Sisters part of the arc a little bit better than the Ultimate Weapon, but the Ultimate Weapon arc does also have the Snow Gorilla's base where you get the scene of um basically it's a bunch of like female like pirates and just them training. But there's a scene in which two spies got caught and they show off their execution method, which are basically a bunch of battle bots with teeth.
just a
That
bunch of Doombas coming down on them.
yeah, it's great because it's like if you know like Donkey Kong Jr. like the little or like snapper things, it looks like a boxy version of one of those things. Also, that dog got the hell shot out of him.
It's fine because she got a new one immediately in the next episode.
Yes, uh, it's great because like the end of the first episode of that arc is just a shot of that dog getting blasted.
It's also great because in the next, like when she has it again, it gets fucking like it gets fucked up by that weird Lamia that's chilling in the
A
pyramid for
weird
some reason.
like Lamia mermaid thing that fulfilling this show's criteria has ass. Uh,
And titty.
and the snitty, yes. Um,
Also amazing eyelashes.
and it'll yes.
This show
This
has a thing for like voluminous eyelashes.
yeah. This show has it has a lot of things.
Like even like Lady Armoroid's eyelash game is fucking on point.
Yeah, it's definitely a style that you could tell this only could have been created in the 70s or
Yep.
80s. Yes. Um so yeah, I felt like it was overall on par with kind of the rest of the series. Although like it's like I like the other arc better, but it's still not bad. Um it was still a fun watch.
Yeah, no, it's still fun and good. It just has some issues.
Uh,
Also, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's. I just felt like the ending of it was just kind of it just happened.
Yeah, I felt like it did kind of end on a felt like very arbitrary way of defeating her.
It felt like they didn't quite know how to end it because of this ultimate weapon, and it's just all of a sudden, oh man, there's an ocean beneath the sand.
An ocean beneath the sand, and also it's like coincidentally we can use this time period to throw her into a pyramid.
Yeah, like you do.
Yes.
It was
Um.
just really weird and out of nowhere.
Yeah. Speaking of weird now nowhere, after the arcs, we had two one-off episodes um of
Real quick, I
di-
feel we're mentioning that Dominique just fucked off. They just immediately wrote her off at the end of the arc.
well, it's also great because the thing is that we're not going to see it. We didn't see it in these two episodes, but well, we kind of did a little bit. But Dominic actually returns as a character. Like she kind of will occasionally give Cobra something to do. She's actually the thing that instigates the next big arc.
Okay.
But yeah, she essentially is like, oh, bye,
I
and
got a job to do later.
yeah, she's got to be a cop, and Cobra can't hang around a cop.
It's true.
Um, so yeah, which that leads us into those two mini arc episodes of completely different styles. Because the first one is about actually one that if you're familiar with the Sega CD game, you'll actually recognize the character. It is Hammer. They call him Hammer Bolt Joe in the game, but Hammer Bolt Joe as well. This weird like guy whose main thing is Rocket Punch. Also in a casino. And then you got Galton the Magician, who is that episode is a thing.
Uncomfortable.
Very. It is reminds us of our talks during Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog of animator like the person who came up with that idea has taste, so to speak,
For balloon fruit.
for balloon fruit and shrinking down and entering people's bodies to get
Okay, but
balloon
let's
fruit.
let's save that for last.
Yeah,
Though. Let's talk about the
yeah,
first
but
one.
yeah, it's a decent episode. It's like I like that episode better than the one that was between the intro episode and the first episode of the Three Sisters arc.
Hmm.
Um, because this one it has a lot of action that the other ones had, like basically Cobra going into like a casino and like saving this spy turned deal, like who is basically this undercover spy who is spying on Hammervolt Joe because a bunch of gold bullion is stored somewhere in the casino and they don't know where.
That's
Um,
because Hammerbolt Joe's been doing illegal shit. Also, it's not immediately apparent that she's a spy. Initially, they just roll it as she's just a worker there who likes to explore the space station, for laughs, and is definitely not covert spy or anything.
yeah. It does actually, this episode does have a really nice segment of Lady Armoroid actually doing stuff on her own and being relatively competent up until she gets kidnapped, but
And to be fair, that
not
was
kid,
due to
yeah.
circumstances outside of her control.
Yeah, yeah, because it makes like she ends up getting captured, but it makes sense why.
Up to
Uh,
that point, though, she kicks some ass.
oh yeah, which is always good to see.
Also,
Uh,
Hammerbolt Joe's entire ability is really fucking stupid.
yeah, it's just, oh, I can shoot my arms out.
The big boss Rocket Fist.
Yeah. Um, Also, it makes him look like here you can tell that he is more of a human in a weird cyborg body rather than just a robot, which I think the
Hmm.
game kind of makes him out to be. Also, he has that room that is a giant ass roulette wheel with laser turrets. That's a thing. Like this weirdly elaborate themed death trap, which I always appreciate when stuff has. Um, and yeah, that episode's I like that episode. It's a weird kind of one-off thing, but it kind of
It's fun.
yeah, it's fun. It's nothing like it's a good episode. It's a good segue episode between arcs. Um, Then you got the episode after that, which is different in practically every way because also it has this weird, like, not Arabian theme, but it has like this weird, like,
That's definitely Arabian.
yeah, it's like it like circumvents like the sci-fi kind of feel to it and makes it more of like a fantasy kind of thing.
Yeah, it goes down the magic sort of route this time.
Yeah, like literally going into like a treasure room with like a magic carpet and all that.
Literally, the first thing that happens is two people fight with magic in space, and then one of them lands in Cobra's ship. And then
Yeah,
Cobra gets menaced by a giant man who is apparently that woman's teacher.
yeah. Because basically Galton the magician basically just wants to cause chaos throughout the galaxy and basically have like
A
all
giant
the
harem.
yeah, he wants a giant harem. I mean, that's literally what he says. Well, not he doesn't say harem, but he wants a harem, essentially. And
So he
basically wants
kidnaps a
Cobra,
bunch of women.
yeah, and wants Cobra to help him uh get increase the size of his harem and also get more gold. Uh which Cobra refuses. Um but
Because Cobra works for no one.
yes. And a lot of things happen in that episode. Um like for the fact that in order to make sure that all the members of his harem behave, has them swallow balloon fruit, which we get to see the uh, happenings of when activates the balloon fruit, and that woman did blow up like a balloon, and it was
And Pop.
she popped good, and it's
Very uncomfortable to watch.
yeah, unless you're into that kind of thing, which if you are, I have the episode for you. It is this one. Because we also get to see that it basically makes Cobra swallow one, and then Cobra starts to balloon up as well, but he doesn't. He kind of gets halfway there until
The
the
magician woman shrinks down and flies down his throat to take it out.
yeah, and talks while doing it, and that also, if you are into that kind of thing, this episode is also for you. Then the genie also gets blown up, and
He ain't got no pingy.
he doesn't have. They don't draw the dingus, which I'm fine with.
Smooth like a Ken doll.
It does continue on with actually the woman and the him do have ass. That is just the
Mhm.
universal constant of Cobra.
Yep.
Um,
Everyone got ass.
everyone got ass for days. Um, and also remind me of the line that I'm just admiring the finest ass in all of the galaxy when they was talking about Dominique.
Oh god, that's right. Oh
The
god.
one segment of him being a little skeevy with the person he's working with, although that's like the extent of it.
To be
Uh,
fair, they had been flirting, so
yeah. Uh, but yeah, but yeah, the genie also gets a balloon fruit stuck into him and it blows up. But then he shrinks into, or basically blows up into a bunch of little tiny versions of himself, which then he just kind of builds himself back up.
also he'd been petrifying women this entire time too.
Petrifying women and ships and everything.
Everything, but like he specifically had pillars made out of women that he had petrified.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Because then, yeah, it's like that last fight is basically in that little this room that has a bunch of pillars with stone women in it, and also this little weird cuckoo clock thing that two women come in and dance.
Who were
Because
also
he was
petrified.
who were also petrified. But then he was given I forgot who exactly gave him the hint, but basically, in order to defeat
He
him,
was the magician woman because she heard it from the genie in his sleep.
yeah, that he has to destroy the skull. Which
To shoot
this
the skull between the eyes.
shoot the skull between the eyes, which the skull is formed from the two dancing statues in that kind of that thing we see. And did that ever show up in a Resident Evil or not? Because I feel like that did.
I'm sure there's something like it.
Yeah, it's the thing that's like akin to the is it Two Faces or is it a vase kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
But then he
shows
busts
up in a
open the
few things.
wall and finds the genie's bottle and traps him in it.
Traps it in it, and then I forgot, did they just leave it there or did they shoot
They
it off
hurled
into
it into
space?
space. They hurled it into space, and the final shot of the episode is him whining and moaning and crying because he's trapped in a bottle in space again.
Yeah. Because that also technically happened to Hammerfall Joe, is that he got
Sucked into space.
sucked into space.
Along with a bunch of gold before the shutters went down and closed it off.
Yep. Um. So yeah, those are kind of the episodes that we kind of saw.
The reason we didn't talk much about the Snow Girls arc is because honestly, there's not a lot that goes on in that.
Yeah, it's kind of pretty bare bones. Like, there's not a
It's
whole lot
pretty
that happens.
mundane.
There's
Yeah.
like a train, and then it's in a snow planet, and there's like this weird snow resort, but it's not that interesting per se. But it's
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's kind of these set of episodes. So kind of based on what you've seen for both these episodes and the ones you've seen, would you want to continue watching this?
Yeah, it's honestly pretty fun. It looks pretty nice. The music's really good.
The music is really good.
I can't resist listening to the opening theme every fucking
Yeah,
episode. It's so
it
good.
it is one of those shows that I tend not to skip the intro. That is a rarity for me. But yeah, I guess on that note, kind of discussed all the things we've needed to discuss. So
To
we can
be
actually,
fair, we discussed it pretty at length also in the first episode, so
yeah, there's not a whole lot. Like, the themes, the everything kind of continues on from the basically our opinions have not changed from the first bit on
no,
these.
it's still really enjoyable.
Yep. Um. So yeah, I guess
I do
kind.
feel we're mentioning that the casino episode was honest. The Hammerbolt Joe episode that is was actually very fun.
Yes, yes, it is. But yeah, I guess with that, I think we can probably actually rank this now. With that, we're going to rank this using our normal 1 to 21 scale. Basically, with 1 being absolute mastercraft, can't really do much to make it better. To 21, which is not even like enjoyable. Like, you can't. It's not even like ironically enjoyable. Torpo, where are you thinking of putting this?
I
Like,
was
where?
thinking like a solid like 6.
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah, I was kind of thinking somewhere in that 5, like the 5, 6, 7 range.
Yeah.
Because like in 6 we have Labyrinth, Mappy, Mortal Kombat, in Hunt for Red October. And then like in 7 we have American Gladiators, Nick Arcade, The Running Man, Tron, and East 2. I would rather watch this than probably any of the stuff in 7.
Yeah.
So I feel like 6 is definitely a good spot for it, because I'm like, would I rather watch this or Space Center CX?
Game Center.
Or yeah, Game Center CX.
I would rather watch Game Center CX. That one's just really fun the whole way through.
Yeah, because even
What
that first season's weird, but it's still pretty enjoyable.
Yeah, like there's some lulls in Cobra. There's some awkwardness too. Like setting aside the uncomfortableness, there's just some parts that are just some issues here and there, but
Yeah,
like I still think it's really fun.
it's the problem with it being old.
Yeah, it's definitely aged. You can feel the age at least to some extent.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel 6 is definitely good. And yeah, if for some reason we choose to kind of go forward with this, that would I'd be perfectly fine with that. I'll
Yeah,
put
this
it
is
down
fun with
that
me.
I'll put it down that it is Space Cobra and that we've watched episodes 1 through 14.
Yeah, it's not the full season, but it's a good chunk of it.
Yeah, and I've seen past this point, and I would say that it keeps up. And this is episode 42, I think. This originally came out, I believe, in 1983. Osamu Dezaki is the director, and this was originally aired on TV. And this is I would say sci-fi probably is the best way of describing it.
It is 100% well, it's like science fantasy, but yeah.
Yeah, it sci-fi is the closest thing that we have.
It's soft sci-fi.
Very, very soft sci-fi. Yeah, because I don't think I have science fantasy on here.
Yeah.
And this is I don't know if
That's a
whether or not.
space adventure.
Well, so it's either space, it's anime, or it's 80s
Mm.
or
See, I was
naughty.
gonna say it's like a big adventure thing.
Um, well, the thing was, I wouldn't quite go with the Adventure Ho thing because that's more like stuffy English dudes going through like an archaeology. Like that
Mm.
would be something like I would give Indiana Jones
Okay, okay. I wasn't
versus
quite sure.
something like this. And it's not cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking more just straight up anime or 80s. I think might
Problem is, like,
fit.
80s is specifically, like, acceptable in the 80s.
Yeah. Well, also we can bring that up. Um, yeah, we can.
This is a tough one, yeah.
We could also say whimsical.
Mm, not so sure about that one. I'd just stick with anime, I guess.
Yeah, let's just call it anime. That's I feel gets the point across a little bit more.
Or would you rather cool?
Yeah, actually, now that I say that, cool is definitely
It's just Cobra's just fucking cool.
yeah. There you are.
But it's also one of those things, like, it doesn't feel the need to remind you at length that he's super cool, unlike some other things.
Yeah, because he is also doofy at the same time. It's kind of
Yeah,
great.
but it sort of, like, plays into that sort of personality of his.
Yeah, it's he when push comes to shove, he will kind of be able to get on top. But when it's just like the intermissions, it's still pretty good about him not being like the super cool dude.
He doesn't try hard to be cool.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, which it is part of the reason why I like this. Um. Let's see. Is there anything we want to call out in music, charm, cinematography, storytelling, action, or in art? I feel we've mentioned it quite a lot. Uh, music, give the thumbs up. Charm, I would also give the thumbs up.
Uh,
Cinematography, I don't know if I would.
no.
And the
The
story,
writing's nothing exceptional.
yeah,
The action's fun and all, but, like, I wouldn't consider it super.
yeah. It's not like you. That's not the fight choreography is not what you're here for.
Yeah.
And then art, like I don't know
I
if I
love
get.
the art style, but
Yeah, I put in the charm because the art itself is fairly standard 80s
there's nothing
caliber.
acceptable about the, like, animation or anything.
Yeah. If anything, it kind of goes budget in some spots, but other than that, it's fine.
Yeah.
Uh, that being said, I do feel that I would definitely put the just plain cool.
Yeah.
I would also put in simply fun.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah. Uh, that being said, for Nay, I would definitely put the charm. This was made in the 80s, huh?
Yep.
Where is it?
It definitely was.
Yeah, it's definitely has that. This was made in a time period that was not our own. Um, and then let's see, is there anything else I'd put? Uh,
No, I think that's pretty good.
yeah, it's like all this seems kind of
Like, there's nothing wrong with the pacing or anything. They kinda just tear through it,
yeah, and
which works both for and against it at
I
points.
would say someone's got a fetish, but that really was more just that one episode.
I mean, the dude loves leggy ladies, but I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah,
There is
yeah,
pretty much a single body type for women.
yeah, yeah. And kind of a thing with body type for men too, with the exception of like one-offs. Um, but yeah, I think that's probably good for that.
Yeah, it's a fun show. I recommend it.
Yeah, it was a very fun little romp. Um, so yeah, before we kind of go off into the next thing that we're doing, Torpo, you want plug stuff?
Uh, I mean, twitch.tv/torpidtypist, not torpidtypist on Twitter. And I would love to plug the hole in my heart left by Dominique leaving.
Yes. Um,
Also, my fucking space station that Cobra shot a hole in.
yeah. Well, it plugged itself up. Like it did that really
Yeah,
quick.
but that now there's a shutter there instead of my nice glass windows.
Yeah, I suppose to look into that all that gold bullion.
You look into the emptiness of space.
Um, So yeah, that'll do it for Space Cobra, at least for now. I don't know if we'll actually return. I think if we were going to return to this, I feel like we probably should do that after we look at the Sega CD game
I was
at
gonna say I
some
almost feel
point.
like we've done this at length at this point.
Yeah.
I
If
will say there is a significant difference between the Sega CD game and this show.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm curious to go through that again just to see the differences now that I've actually watched the show.
Like there was a lot more build up to the ultimate weapon in the game, and Crystal Bowie was a lot more of a presence.
Also, there's characters that I think I would imagine that they were in the manga and not in the not in the show that are in the Sega CD game, which are
You mean
unfortunate.
the leader of the fucking Space Pirates Guild
There's also things like Rock Knight, which does not appear in this at
and
all in
Parrot
Parrot Press. Um, yeah. So, yeah, that'll do it for this. But the fun romps don't end here because next week we got a doozy next week. Because we're talking about
God,
Commando
yes.
next week, which
Commando's so good.
I will fully admit is not necessarily based on a video game or had a video game based on it. Although it is it is one of those, this is practically a video game kind of movies where it's peak Arnold.
I love Chainmail.
It's such a good movie.
It's so fun.
Yeah. This is going to be like one of those episodes like Redline where I already know where it's going to go.
It's so stupid and fun.
Yeah. That'll be next week. So, with that, I guess, thank you all for listening.
Goodbye.
If you would like to look at the full list of rankings for yourself, please visit r3.ldp.life and go to the Media Delta List tab. If you would like to watch Media Delta's sister show, Retro Rank Rhapsody, you can either watch at youtube.ldp.life or by tuning into twitch.tv/LoadedPuzzlo at 7:30 p.m. on Fridays, 2:30 p.m. on Saturdays, and 1 p.m. on Sundays. All those times are from the Eastern U.S. time zone. If you would like to discuss this episode with the community, you can do so by joining our Discord server, which you can do so by going to discord.ldp.life. Thank you again for listening, and I hope you tune in for our next episode.